What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new release film that just dropped on VOD this week. And I wanted to watch this for a couple of reasons. The first reason being, this is based off of a short story from author Claire Keegan. And Claire Keegan wrote another short story called Foster, which was the premise for the film The Quiet Girl, which is one of my favorite films of the decade so far. I love that movie. If you guys have been watching my YouTube channel for a while, you know that I praised that film. I discussed it at great length. And so knowing that the same author wrote a story that this was based upon made me really excited. And obviously it's a different creative team involved, but leading the helm acting in this is Cillian Murphy, who is just one of the most incredibly talented actors that I've ever watched. Despite me not being an Oppenheimer fan, I still thought he gave a phenomenal performance. And throughout his career, all the different projects that he's taken on, he's always really impressed me. I think he's a very talented actor. And so knowing those two things, I was really looking forward to watching this film. And the movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is Small Things Like These. Small Things Like These is directed by Tim Mielants. While working as a coal merchant to support his family, Bill Furlong discovers disturbing secrets kept by the local convent and uncovers truths of his own, forcing him to confront his past in the complicit silence of a small Irish town controlled by the Catholic Church. So, like I said, I was really looking forward to watching this movie because of the story it was based on, knowing that author's work, and also because I really enjoy Cillian Murphy as an actor. And I thought this was a really good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I do think that it might be a little oversimplified, where I feel like the beauty of The Quiet Girl, which I'm only mentioning because it's based off of the same story, the beauty of that film is in its simplicity. There's a reason for it. And I think because of the subject matter of this movie, I'm okay with elements of the simplicity. I wish they would have dived a little bit more into a lot of the controversy and the things surrounding the Catholic Church. But regardless of a couple of qualms I have, I still think the movie is really good. I'm looking forward to telling you about it today. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Bill, played by Cillian Murphy, and he works as a coal merchant, goes about his day-to-day life doing these coal deliveries from place to place. And we see him go home to his wife and his multiple daughters and just living his day-to-day existence. And there's something going on with him. He seems to be incredibly anxious and thoughtful about his past. We see him reflecting on the life that he lived as a child, where his mother was brought into this home of this wealthier woman. And we don't get every bit of detail about his childhood, but there's definitely some trauma associated with his younger years that seems to be creeping back on him right now around the Christmas holiday season. And we see him going about his day-to-day life, and he stumbles upon something one night associated with the Catholic Church in town that horrifies him. And he confronts the women in the church about it, talks to them, and then just ends up leaving after feeling relatively threatened by them. It's a very passive threat, but threatened. And the entirety of the film is us examining this character and his reaction to learning these things, how other people in the town feel about it, and what can he do to make it better. So like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's like reinventing the wheel by any means, but there's a lot of credible things about it. For starters, Cillian Murphy makes this movie work. He is a phenomenal actor, and this just showcases why. It's a quiet movie. There is dialogue, but it's not the most dialogue heavy movie you'll watch this year. And what makes the movie so effective is his facial expressions in his performance, the way that he reacts to certain things, or when he's thinking about his childhood, and we'll get these flashbacks when it comes back to him, just his reaction to it. And I think his reactionary performance is what makes the movie so captivating. You can feel so much of the director's intent from the emotions solely through his facial expressions, and it's not through musical manipulation or anything else. It's just him performing. And I think that's what makes Cillian Murphy such an incredibly special talent, is how he's able to do so much even without dialogue. And there's a great cast of characters in this. I feel like each and every actor and actress that shows up in this does a really fantastic job kind of building this world and making it feel really lived in. My favorite element of this entire movie is the cinematography. It's gorgeous. There are a lot of amazing shot selections in this movie. There's a few in particular, like one where Cillian Murphy was just walking down the street and the camera does this like 180 pan where we see a different part of the street, and it just opens up more of the world, and it's done in such like a natural and casual way, but it's beautiful, and it just opens up this world and your understanding of the world in a way that I really like. It's a very dreary movie for being set around Christmas time, and obviously that makes a lot of sense considering the subject matter of the film. And so I love that there's so much attentiveness to detail in the cinematography and how lived in the world feels. I feel like that's so incredibly important to create the realism of, I believe this film was set in 1985, and you can really feel the time period. And I like that a lot about the movie. There's great sound design in this as well, and the use of music is minimalist enough that I feel like it just complements the movie in moments. It's never heavy-handed or ridiculous. There's a couple of sound cues in it that really do like intensify certain scenes, especially when Cillian Murphy's character is meeting with like the head nun of the Catholic Church in that area who's taking care of these girls. But that didn't bother me too much. I feel like so much of the movie, it earns that big emotional payoff moment. And I was appreciative of the sound design and the soundtrack choices. And this movie, it's obviously tackling some really heavy subject matter when it's looking at the Catholic Church and the control of the Catholic Church, and how like these human beings who were brought in from bad circumstances, whether that be thrown out from their family because they're pregnant or just not given the same opportunity as other people, that the church brings them in under the guise of like, we're caring for these people and we genuinely want to make their lives better, but they just use them. Like, they use them for work, they treat them horribly, put them in horrendous living conditions. And the movie starts to examine that idea, and I really like that idea being uncovered. I think it's important to discuss things like that, but I think that also opens up the issue that I have with this film, which is that's the big part of the movie. You're supposed to unpack like, oh, the Catholic Church is doing something really horrible, and this is a character who has had a troubled past, issues in his own life, that he feels like he wants to care and have compassion for other human beings. And so he wants to make this situation better, but slowly learns like how much of that is within the realm of your control. The Catholic Church has their hand in everything in this community, and you get bits and pieces of it, but I feel like it's so small in comparison to the development of Cillian Murphy's character, which isn't necessarily even that deep. I feel like you get just enough with the flashback sequences, but like I wish that it was a little bit more 50-50 balanced rather than like a 75-25, because all the stuff with the Catholic Church feels kind of like it's pushed to the end of the movie. And there is like some emotionally resonant scenes that I think are really well done, but I think it could have been even more thoughtful. You could have spent a little bit more time, especially with the one girl that he discovers in this horrific situation. You could have spent a little bit more time with her and understanding her as a character, so the audience gets a little bit more out of the situation and the people who are being impacted. And I understand this is based off, I think they said the book is like 120 pages, really short story. And I haven't read the book, so I'm not 100% sure as to what ground is covered there. But like, when you have these two contrasted feelings, one of like this man who's suffering, thinking about his past and the trauma that he experienced as a child versus the trauma that these girls are experiencing, there's definitely crossover moments, but I feel like they could have spent a little bit more time focusing on the story with the girls so that it would have been a little bit more emotionally resonant. But overall, I still think the movie is really emotionally impactful. I think it has a lot of really great moments, a phenomenal performance from Cillian Murphy. And if you're interested in this subject matter at all, I'd say it's 100% worth watching. So have you seen small things like these? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this was a really good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit, despite some of the issues that I had with it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.